Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine
Namaho Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine
Namaste Sarvati Deve Bhagavani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarini
Namaste Sarvati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarini
Krishna Chaitanya Nanda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Jaya Jaya
हरिनाम संकीर्तन की
Jai.
शिला प्रपाद की जय।
Yeah, very nice.
निर्जल एकादशी महोत्सव की
Jai.
जय। हरि हरि बोल।
Hari Bol.
Yeah, Brinda, it was really, really wonderful kirtans. It was really good. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama. Hare.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this our regular wisdom series Friday sessions. So until Ajit Krishna Prabhu joins, we can discuss about last week's quick recap. So Shyam Prabhu, we want to go with that.
Yeah, Professor Hare Krishna. So last week, we discussed about fourth chapter, verse number 34 and verse number 35. So verse number 34 is very, very important one that is related to the Guru. And that the verse goes like Tadvidi Panipatena Pariprasnena Sevaya Upadachanti Te Gyanam Gyaninas Tattva Darsinah. So that means to approach the Guru and render him the obeisances and ask him the question submissively, not in the challenging mode, and serve him so that he can impart the knowledge because he has seen the truth. So Guru are the transcendental, they are spiritual, they come directly from the spiritual world to liberate us. So they can impart the knowledge. By their blessings, mercy, we can get the transcendental knowledge and we can be eligible to go back to Godhead. So Prabhuji, Ajit Krishna Prabhuji mentioned major related to the, to approach the spiritual master, we should have the Guru, because Guru is the one who, takes our offering and he offers to Krishna. So we cannot directly offer directly to the Krishna. So we should have the Guru in, and similarly, the mercy when Krishna passes, so the medium is the Guru. So via Guru only mercy comes to us, from Krishna to us. And so Prabhuji was talking about inquire from the Guru submissively, not in the challenging mood. We should not be, proud of, like whenever we could have, some knowledge of sloka and this, that. So we should not ask anywhere submissively, means challenging mode. We should be always submissive. So like the gratitude in the attitude. So by that way, and render service to the spiritual master. And how we can render service to the spiritual master, that is by the three types of disciples are there. So they will be offering in the different three ways. Prabhuji was saying that one is without telling, he does, what kind of three types of disciples he told. So one is the disciples, will understand what Guru wants, So without telling itself, Guru will, disciple will understand and he will touch that service. Second types of disciples are like after telling of Guru, when Guru says the instructions, so after understanding the instructions, he will do the task. And third types of, which is, you can say Kanishta Adhikari. So they are, in spite of telling also, they do not do that. They will find like their comfort and accordingly they will do. So next Prabhuji was mentioning that spiritual master has realized the truth, and then he can impart the knowledge because he has realized the truth. And so Guru is the none other than Krishna himself, So, and when Krishna is there, there is no Maya. When, so when Guru is there, so he can take us from the, take us out from the Maya. So that's the thing. So why we are in the Maya? Because we have turned our face from the Krishna. So that's the thing. And this kind of attitude goes off when we serve the spiritual master. So the Maya and all will go off when we serve the spiritual master. So that's what a spiritual master is, very, very, very kind by the nature, and he imparts the knowledge and he delivers us from the world until we get Guru keeps on coming. So these all things were there, details in the 34. Still we had 35 also, that is very concise, and only 2 lines I have the note. That is, after Guru imparts the knowledge, then the Maya illusion goes off. So that's the essence in the verse number 35. So major we had meditated and focused on verse number 34. What so far, I had I had the summary in that. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Ramsham Prabhu. So it's like I didn't attend last week. I was driving, but I got the entire glimpse of what Prabhuji explained. So thank you very much. And we have His Grace Ajit Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Your grace, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, please.
Yeah, so please, Prabhu, you can go ahead with your session.
Okay. So thank you, Ram Cham Prabhu, for the recap, and you covered everything. So we'll move ahead with the next few verses. But actually, in today's discussion, we'll probably do a little more of verse 434, because that's an important verse and there's a lot of information there. So today we'll read from 36, chapter 4, verse 36 onwards.
Yes, kids. Tarun, you want to go? Okay, so then we'll have Tyaga Prabhu.
Yes, Ji.
So I can share my screen, Prabhu.
Um,
436. It's on the screen.
yes, Ji. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Chapter 4, text 36. Api chedasi pape bhaya
Api chedasi pape bhaya
sarve bhaya paprita tama
sarve bhaya papakritamaha
sarvam jana plavina va
sarvam jnana plavenaiva
prijnam santarasayasi.
vijinam santarishyasi.
Translation, Prabhuji. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu, can I read?
Yes, who is this?
Tarun.
Tarun. Yes, please go.
Vedamsi samidobnir
Yataidamsi
samidobnir
Samidognir
Yatayati samidognir
Sat kurute Arjuna
Basmat Sat Kurute Arjuna
Bhasmasat kurute Arjuna
Nanagni sarva karmani
Nanagni Sarvamani
Jnanagni sarva karmani
Basma sat kurute tata
Basma Sat Kurute
Tata
Tata.
Bhasmasat kurute tata.
Translation. As a blazing fire turns firewood into ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities.
Wonderful.
Hare
Thank you, Tarun Krishna Prabhu. Narsimha Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Nahi jnanena sadrisham
Nahi
Nahi jnanena sadrisham
pavitram iha vidyate
pavitram iha vidyate
tat swayam yoga samsiddha
tat swayam yoga samsiddha
कालेनात्मनि विन्दति.
Kalenatmani vindati.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Is it okay, Ajit Krishna Prabhu? Or?
Yeah, I think unless anybody else wants to read, we can just read 36, 37, 38 again.
Yes, anybody wants to? Prabhuji's or Mataji or anybody? Ratitri?
I'll read Prabhuji.
Yes.
Api chedasi papebhya
Api chedasi papebhya
sarvebhya papakritamaha
sarvebhyah papakritamaha
sarvam gyan labhenaiva
sarvam jnanaplavena
Vrijinam santirisyase.
Vrijinam santarishyasi.
The translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charna Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of misery. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Priyanka Mata, you want to go?
Yes, sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yathai dansi samiddo agnir
Yataidanchi samidogni
Do Agni.
Yathai dansi samiddo agnir bhasma sat kurute Arjuna
Bhasma sat kurute Arjuna.
Gnanagnihi sarva karmani
Jnanagni sarva karmani.
Bhasma sat kurute tatha.
Bhasmasat kurute tatha.
Translation: as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mata.
Krishna.
Thank you.
So anybody which 38? Ratipriya Mata, you want to go?
Prabhu, I'm just outside with her and she's, like I'm taking care of her.
Okay, okay. Yeah, no problem. Kirtida, you want to go?
Sure, Prabhuji. Nahi gnanena sadrisham
Nahi
Jnanena sadrisham.
pavitram iha vidyate
Pavitram iha vidyate.
svayam yoga samsiddhaha
Tatsvayam yoga samsiddha.
kalenatmani vindati.
Kalenatmani vindati.
Translation: in this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kirtida.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
36. Yes, Prabhu. Ajit Krishna Prabhu.
All right, so then maybe we'll continue with the discussion then. So may just start with the invocation prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Drishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatruyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we start with text 36. Api chedasi papebhyo sarvebhya papakritamaha sarvam jnanapal plavenaiva rajinam santarishyasi. Translation: even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. And then in text 37, in the translation, Krishna says, as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjun, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. And then in 38, in this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service always or enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. So over here in these verses, Krishna is talking about the power, if you will, of knowledge. The power of knowledge. Earlier, well, in this chapter, there are many things that have been discussed. Basically, karma has been the main focus, as we know. I mean, that is kind of the focus of this chapter. And because earlier Krishna described what is karma, what is vikarma, what is akarma, and so now he's focusing a lot on akarma. Krishna is focusing a lot on akarma. In fact, it is said that if we were to count the number of verses where Krishna talks about akarma, it's actually more than even what he talks about bhakti. So akarma, basically, akarma was working without attachment to the results, but just working according to one's prescribed duties. So that was the focus of akarma, and Krishna was recommending to Arjun to perform akarma. But then Arjun asked Krishna that where am I supposed to get this knowledge and understanding of akarma? So then Krishna said in text 34, Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprishnena Seva, just approach a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge to you because he has seen the truth. So Krishna tells him where to get the knowledge also. And then in these verses now, what we read today, 36, 37, 38, and in some of the future verses also, Krishna will continue to describe the benefits of this knowledge. What does this knowledge actually do for you? So basically this knowledge, and I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit, this knowledge which is realized, it comes slowly, gradually, through the process of realization, or after realization. This is the mature fruit of realizations. This knowledge eventually leads to devotional service, as Krishna says in 38. And one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. So as we had read earlier, through performance of sacrifices, we acquire knowledge. And then what is our duty? What are our prescribed duties? Those are given to us according to the Varnashram system. How we can understand this knowledge? Tadvidi pranipatena, comes from the Guru. And then finally here Krishna is saying that this knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, meaning all spiritual practices result in giving us knowledge. And this knowledge then leads to the practice of devotional service, which then helps us make our lives perfect. But how is this knowledge converted into realizations? How is this knowledge converted into realizations? Because unless you have realizations, there will not be the desire to perform devotional service. So Krishna actually describes earlier in this chapter a very nice system. And I wish I actually had put this on a slide, but I'm not, so maybe I'll show you my notes on it. But anyway, so if you think about it, they're like these three circles. There are three circles. First one is knowledge. So knowledge in Sanskrit is Gyan. Then Gyan, and Gyan basically it's different from Gyan Yoga. Gyan Yoga will come in chapter 13. But here, what we are talking about is just simply knowledge, awareness of something. Like if we say if a person comes to you and says, if you perform these following exercises in the morning, you will feel pretty good during the course of the day. So which exercises to perform? A person says, okay, these exercises. So that's knowledge. That's just knowledge. You know that these exercises are to be performed. Then, so that's Gyan. Gyan, then when you combine that with karma or with activity, Gyan when combined with karma leads to Vigyan, which is the realizations. So Gyan is converted into Vigyan through karma. And that's why this karma part is very, very, very important, and Krishna is focusing so much on it. So I don't know if you can see this. There are these three circles, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So like this. I'll probably put this on a slide for next time. But basically, the first circle is Gyan, that please perform these exercises. Next circle is Karma. I actually perform these exercises. And then when I perform these exercises, it leads to Vigyan. Oh, I'm actually feeling good. So that is how the loop is completed. So when a person gets that Vigyan or that feeling of goodness by performing those exercises, then he says, oh, this is very nice. This person who taught me these exercises, let me go back to him again and ask him some more. You see? So that's why there is this virtuous cycle. There's this loop, right? You start with knowledge, perform karma according to the knowledge that you received. That leads to Vigyan or realization. And then you go back again to the source of that knowledge saying, oh, please tell me more because this is actually working. I like it. So in this chapter, what is the connection between this chapter and this loop that I just described? The connection is, in this chapter, we were talking about all these different types of sacrifices, right? different types of sacrifice. There were these 8 different types of sacrifices that we read about in these earlier verses. You know, some sacrifice knowledge, some sacrifice the hearing, some sacrifice material possessions. So there were 8 types of sacrifices described. So these sacrifices are coming from where? From the Vedas. This knowledge is coming from the Vedas. That's what we read in the preceding verses. So Krishna says that the Vedas are the repository of this knowledge of Gyan. Then, so now think about it. When a person goes to a source for Vedic knowledge, let's say he goes to a Pandit or someone, and like I gave that example, if you perform these exercises, you'll feel good. So the teacher of Vedic knowledge gives the person some instruction that if you do this, you will get such and such a result, right? So then comes karma. So the person who goes to the instructor of Vedic knowledge says, okay, he asked me to perform this sacrifice, I will perform it. And then, so here you have knowledge, so you have Gyan and you have karma. Then when he performs that sacrifice, when he gets the results, that is Vigyan. So he says, oh, this worked. So then he goes back again to the person that says, please tell me more. So this is the connection. This virtuous cycle is a connection between the Vedas, the Vedic knowledge, the actions that we perform, and the realizations that we get. And the purpose of the Vedas, Krishna says later on in Bhagavad Gita, Vedeshta sarver aham eva vedyo, that the purpose of the Vedas is to understand me. But how many different types of human beings are there? You're on mute, Prabhu.
Only the human species, or
yeah, just human.
Chatur Lakshani Manava, 4 lakh species, yes.
4 lakh. So 400,000 different types of human beings are there. So do you think one prescription will work for all of them? It won't. So that is why the Vedas have so many different prescriptions. But they all follow this cycle. A person goes to the Vedic source, they tell him, you please do like this. He does like that. He gets some benefit. That's the Vigyan. And then he goes back and asks for more. So like this, the virtuous cycle continues. And the Vedas gradually elevate the person to the point of devotional service, to the point of bhakti. So the highest level that the Vedas bring a person to is eventually to the level of bhakti. So that is the knowledge that Krishna is referring to over here in text 38, when he says such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. Mysticism means when you're practicing different spiritual practices. So according to the Vedas, there are all these different practices. That's all mysticism. So he says the mature fruit of all mysticism, that at the end of the day, you will come to devotional service. And one who becomes accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys the knowledge within himself in due course of time. Any questions so far on this loop of Gyan, Karma, and Vigyan?
So I have a question regarding the verse which we are discussing, the 36, right?
Yeah.
So it says that this doesn't facilitate, this facilitates those people who can do all kinds of wrong things, nonsense things in the name of spirituality, and then take this as an excuse, right? This verse, that even if I consider to be the most sinful of all sinners, but still if I'm in transcendental knowledge, I'll be able to cross over the ocean of misery. So that's like a license giving to people who can do sinful activities.
Good question. But the way this is explained is what is done before and what is done after. What I mean by that is, even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when, see the key word there is when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. He's not saying that even if you are a sinner, the transcendental knowledge will make you cross. He says, even if you are considered, even if you're the most sinful, then after that, if you start taking to the practice of yoga to understand transcendental knowledge, then when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. So what happens is that initially somebody is a sinner. We are all sinners. We've all made mistakes. I've made mistakes. You know, the past is full of karma, full of mistakes, full of sinful activities, full of reactions, you see. But when we take to the process of devotional service, we are making at least an attempt to try and cleanse our karma and not perform the kind of actions that we have performed in the past, sinful actions that we have performed in the past. And then through the practice that is recommended to us, then when we are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over. So it is not that just because you are chanting 16 rounds, you can do anything you want and you'll get away with it. No, it is saying that when you actually get situated in the transcendental knowledge, then the past is history. Why? Because what is the meaning of being situated in transcendental knowledge? We know many things. One, that we are not this body, we are the soul. Second, we know the difference between right and wrong activity. So when a person, and then third, we understand, okay, what is the goal of our life? It is to serve Krishna. So when a person understands all these things, then they will not perform all those practices that they performed in the past, the sinful activity that performed past. And that's why I say api ched, even if. So even if in the past you were the biggest of sinners, when you are situated in the boat of knowledge, you will be okay. So it's not a license. It is saying that this is a powerful process for cleansing the reactions that are accumulated from past sinful activities.
So going forward, we should not do.
Going forward, we should not. So you see, because the thing is that once you know what you should not do, then if you are still performing them, then Prabhupada says, then the reaction is even more. Because
Knowingly we are doing.
Knowingly we are doing. Then we are committing the seventh offense. You see?
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna. And actually this verse, and then there is another verse that starts with Apichit Sudurachara. That is also a very, very, very interesting verse. And maybe we'll discuss that another day. But I mean, that basically one of the realizations that, well, one of the key points that jumps out of that verse is why we should not commit Vaishnava Aparadha. You know, why we should not criticize devotees and that kind of thing. It's a very, very wonderful verse. So other questions or thoughts or comments so far on what we discussed? Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Mukta Sangha Prabhu, because that's, I mean, I had not touched upon it and I would have forgotten, you know, it just jumped straight to 38.
This cycle, Prabhuji, you told it is very, very good, you know, to understand the Gyan, Karma, then first is the Gyan, then Karma, then Vigyan. So knowledge, first we got the knowledge as we read through the previous verses, like 34 and all. So Guru imparted the knowledge. So knowledge, we after the getting the knowledge, we are doing the karma. And so by doing that karma, it's working out. That means that is the begyan. And then we want more knowledge, no? So because this is working out. So more knowledge. So more knowledge, after that more karma, and then that again working out. So this cycle is, so it's easy to understand. So it's really good by understanding that.
I'm glad that it helps with the understanding. So that is basically the strategy that Krishna has employed by giving us the Vedic knowledge, how to gradually elevate people to the platform of devotional service. So if one cycle can make you go up, like let's say 1%, then 100 cycles will take you 100% of the way there. And if somebody is already at 70% of the way there, then they have to only perform 30% of the sacrifices. I mean, the level of elevation is, and that Mahaprabhu is considered the most merciful because he gave us this process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, which is the most powerful of all sacrifices, and immediately takes us to the top level.
Exactly.
Okay. New a little bit more then. So in text, so I basically wanted to come back to text 34 a little bit, because there are many kind of points that were raised there. First was, actually, I'll go to the translation of 35, text 35, where he says, having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. So this actually links Muktasanga Prabhu with the next verse, 36, and the question that you asked. Because here Krishna is saying that having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will not again fall into such illusion. And then if you read 36, so even if you had committed many sinful activities in the past, now that you have this knowledge, you will never go back into that pattern of behavior again. Because that behavior was due to illusion. But because the illusion is cleared from having received the knowledge from the spiritual master, we will not go back into that state of illusion again and commit those same mistakes again. And because we will not commit those mistakes again, the purification will happen, and therefore we'll be able to make advancement in devotional service. So in this context, you see, when the question came up of how to approach a spiritual master and how to understand the knowledge from him, because acquiring knowledge is the focus for us right now. So in relation to verse 34, actually in Srimad Bhagavatam in Canto 3, Maitreya Rishi says something very important, and that was like Yatha Shrutim, Yathamati, and then Prabhupada then goes on to explain Yatha Gati also. So in that, so Maitreya Rishi was saying Yatha Shrutim, meaning you just explain what you hear. Explain what you hear, because Shruti is hearing. So he was explaining to Vidur how to get this knowledge and how to disseminate the knowledge. So Yatha Shrutim, what you hear, you simply repeat that. And Prabhupada used to say the same thing. He said, we may not be perfect, but if we get knowledge from the perfect source, then our knowledge is perfect. And if we simply repeat that, then what we are saying will be perfect. And Prabhupada oftentimes gives this example where he says, okay, I'm speaking through the microphone. And if a child comes up to me and asks me, Father, what is this? And I say, this is microphone. Then the child's knowledge is perfect. as far as the microphone is concerned. He doesn't have to understand how it works or whatever. If somebody asks the child, what is this? He will say this is microphone. So in that regard, the child's knowledge is perfect. What he heard, that he's repeating. So if you hear from the bona fide source, and if you can remember it, and if you repeat it, then that is yatha shruti. So then you are repeating the perfect knowledge. Even if we are not perfect, at least what we are repeating is perfect, so that knowledge is perfect. Then yatha mati. Yatha mati was explain what you understand. Now, Maitreya Rishi, of course, he could understand, he simply heard and he understood everything. So that is a higher level of a living entity, which in this age, in Kali Yuga, that does not exist. And then Yatha Gati is that you explain what you realize, explain what you have understood. So that brings us back to this whole cycle of knowledge, karma, and Vigyan. So as you keep realizing, you share it. As you practice, you get more realizations, you share those realizations. You get more practice, more realizations, you share more. So these are the different places. Like the reason I brought this in is because in Srimad Bhagavatam also this conversation between Maitreya Rishi and Vidur is related to the same concept. And so that's why it becomes relevant for this discussion. So eventually, at the end of text 38, actually, let's just go back to 37 for a second. Basically, Krishna says, as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjun, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. So why is that that this fire of knowledge burns to ashes all reactions to material activities? Because reactions to material activities cause us to act in certain ways. They cause us to act in certain ways. Let's say we have performed certain activities in the past. It creates an impression upon your mind. And then you go out and you act in that way. Unless that impression is cleansed or unless you understand that you need to suppress it, it will still keep driving you. For example, you know, these days they say that a lot of kids pick up violence from the video games. Because you're sitting there, audio, visual, and it has an impact upon the child's mind and brain. And then they go out and they act in a similar way. So that is how human psychology works. So our past actions form impressions upon our minds and they affect our consciousness. And because of that, we act in certain ways. But he says this knowledge of God, science of God, knowledge of understanding who we are, knowledge of understanding what action to perform and not to perform, they are so powerful that they allow us to evaluate our tendencies. Then we evaluate our tendencies, we say, okay, this is wrong and that is right. So the wrong tendencies, we stay away from them. And the right tendencies, we nurture more. It's that same Gyan, Vigyan cycle. So that's why this practice of chanting is recommended. Because we get the knowledge, okay, you should chant. All right. Then we do the karma, we start chanting. When we chant, then we feel something good. So that is the Vigyan part. So then we go back again to this knowledge of chanting and say, oh, this is very good. Where did it come from? Bhagavad Gita. Okay, let's read some more. Let's try to understand some more. So that is why this cycle is very applicable to everything that we do in our spiritual practices. And because it allows us to evaluate our tendencies, it has the power to burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. What is the effect of the reactions? If somebody wants to please comment. What is the effect of reactions? What does it do to us?
It fructify and yes. So it can be instant, it can be later, or it can be next lifetime also. So it depends.
Sure.
Yeah.
And when it fructifies, then it causes us to act in certain ways.
Exactly. Yeah.
So to stop acting under the influence of those reactions, because some may be good, some may be bad. The bad ones you definitely want to stop. So it is only through the knowledge that we can curb the tendency to act in certain ways. And that's why he says, so the fire of knowledge burns to ashes all reactions to material activities. So at the end of the day, the takeaway becomes, let's try to understand this knowledge nicely and let it guide us in our actions and in our thoughts. All right, Prabhuji, 8:50, I'll stop here. Questions, comments, thoughts, realizations, you can share those.
So Prabhu, finally, bhakti is most important, right? So,
right.
So here he's talking, at this point of time, he's talking about basically karma.
Yes.
Bhakti yet, because he's saying knowledge can destroy all the reactions of your sinful activities, right?
Right.
So for a karma kandi, this is much sufficient, right? This is
correct.
Is more sufficient than bhakti.
Correct.
The karma kandi.
Correct. Correct. And
not all in all.
That's right. So because right now we are only on chapter 4, and the first 6 chapters are basically focused on karma. And last 6 on Gyan, and it's only the middle 6 that are focused on bhakti. So, but Krishna is building up to it. And actually, up until this point, Krishna has not really revealed himself as the Supreme Lord to Arjuna. Not really. He has given a few hints, but he has not revealed himself fully. That will come in chapter 7. So you're right. This is, I mean, it's a gradual build-up.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
I was just thinking, this intelligence is given by Krishna. The memory, everything, whatever we have, is been given by Krishna. Like we have so many examples. A lot of people, they study or something, then we tend to forget because of less memory. And here we are saying with knowledge, we can progress also deeper into spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Then isn't there is free will, that is a different thing. But isn't there something which is also controlled by Krishna, because intelligence is given by him? So the decisions, or now some people might say we have to repeatedly listen or read so that we can remember. But there are times when, there are certain people who cannot remember also, even if they're reading and hearing continuously. So is there nothing at all controlled by him?
So, Mataji, I mean, I'll just try to unpack this a little bit. Meaning, the knowledge, or first the memory part that you mentioned. So the memory, when Krishna says all of this comes from me, that is matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha, right? So that is like our remembrance of our previous life, that is cleansed. I mean, it's like, you reboot the hard drive sort of thing. So when we take a new birth, Krishna says apohanam, forgetfulness, comes from me. So that is in the context of when we change bodies, that forgetfulness comes from it. Then the knowledge part, He says Mata Smriti Jnanam and Aponam. So knowledge, Gyan, knowledge, that also comes from him. And what he's referring to there is what progress we had made in the devotional line in our previous life. We start from that point in the next life. And so that remembrance, that tendency to advance further in devotional service, that comes from him. But so that is the memory between lifetimes, from one lifetime to the other. But when you talk about remembering something that we are doing in this life, or let's say within the past week or so, if we were hearing repeatedly about a certain topic, whether we remember it well, some people remember it better, some people remember it less. That's just a function of our, our memory cells, I guess. That is that is the capacity that we have been blessed with. The memory capacity. I mean, that also actually is one of the qualities that is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, that ability to remember a lot, ability to speak very eloquently. These are all qualities which are given to us in different measures based on our past karma. So in other words, there are two levels of knowledge, or I'm sorry, memory. Memory between lifetimes, so inter-lifetime memory, and then intra-lifetime, meaning within this lifetime itself, what is our capacity to remember things that we are doing in this lifetime, meaning we heard something 1 week ago, do you remember, do we not? Does that kind of help, Madhavi?
Yes, Prabhuji, definitely. Thank you so much.
Other comments, questions? Okay, Nrsimhan Prabhu's got his hand raised. Go.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
It was very nice to hear class, so thank you so much. You mentioned about how the child speaks about the microphone, so even though he may not know, still he is speaking the truth. So it just shows Prabhu how bhakti works in such a transcendental way. It just reminded me about how a devotee asked Prabhupada how are the devotees so blissful and they are dancing. But I'm not feeling that way, not having that much enthusiasm. And he said that you can just dance, move your hands and body, and that way anyone can experience that some happiness so quickly. So thanks, Prabhu. It was very nice.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. That was a very nice example of Prabhupada, how he made it so simple for that devotee, saying you just follow someone and dance, you will feel some happiness. Maybe not as much as he's feeling, but that's how it starts. Very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, Prabhu. I mean,
yes, I think we are good.
We'll stop here then.
I just wanted to little meditate on this. Like when we say the Guru has given the knowledge, so current, if we take that, Guru, either we are not always accessible from the Guru. So Guru has given it a Bani format in the audio format, video format, and other those who are accessible, they can getting the knowledge from the Guru also.
Right.
So depending upon our purity level, we are trying to apply our in our sadhana or in our practical approach and all. So if we see that here in the verse number 30, verse number 35. So having obtained the real knowledge from self-realized soul. So we are getting the real knowledge from the Guru, but if I am not, how far I am, the degree level of the degree I am applying. Suppose I am only using 5%, 10% as per my purity level. So that is that I am using in the karma. Then I am getting the begin for experience for that, right? And then will I go for again more knowledge, or how can, so can you little put light on that? So, or still I have to practice on that only until I go for the 100%. Suppose a guru is saying that chant 16 round, and I'm not chanting 16 round, I'm chanting 18 round only. So until I chant for, I'm taking as an example, until I chant for 16 round, so then I will go for the next set of knowledge, or what? How that it works?
You mean, so if I understand your question, Prabhu, you're saying that the guru has 100% knowledge,
Right.
and we are able to make use of only maybe 5 or 10% of it, depending on what our level of understanding is.
Exactly.
So how can we advance higher and higher to take advantage of as much, maybe 50%, 60% of what the guru is saying, even if we can't reach 100%, right?
Right.
So for that, Prabhuji, see, the thing is, obviously the guru is much more elevated than we are. So immediately for us to be able to absorb 100% and implement 100% of the guru's instructions is probably not realistic, right? But like we were discussing last time, that there are 3 types of disciples: 1 who will do before he's told, 2 who will do when he's told, 3 who will, even if he's told, he'll never do. So the idea is, let's not be the 3rd type of disciple. And if we can be even the 2nd type, at least when we are told, then we try to implement. At least that will make us better for sure. And finally, I think one should not feel discouraged if you are not able to implement 100%, because see, the guru is definitely a very empowered soul.
Right.
Very empowered soul. So we cannot be at that level. But as long as we are trying, as long as we keep trying, it will actually, Krishna will see that and he will be pleased with that, and we will get the benefit from that. I wanted to just pull up a quote for you. I just got this quote 2 days ago. There was an initiation ceremony done in Kurukshetra. 334 people were initiated, where this new temple is coming up. So this is a quote. It says, the guru and the super soul are intimately connected. Indeed, a bona fide guru is the external manifestation of the super soul. When he accepts disciples, the guru expands as Krishna expands as Chaitya Guru. That is how he is aware and accepts prayers. He is a transparent via medium, so prayers properly offered through him go to Krishna. Prayers properly offered through him go to Krishna. He has to be an authorized agent, a bona fide spiritual master, to be empowered to do that. Guru is not cheap. So you see, the guru is a empowered representative of the super soul. See, that's why a lot of times people say, when Prabhupada used to look at us, he could read our past, present, everything 100%.
Yeah.
And I'll send you this quote if you want.
Sure.
It tells us the power of the guru. So if the guru is so empowered, we cannot expect to be at that level.
Right.
We can, but we should have, first of all, gratitude that somehow we have come into the shelter of this wonderful soul. They have accepted fallen soul like me, for example, and they are giving us protection. First thing. Second thing, because of gratitude, we should then say that, okay, now my duty is to try to follow as nicely as I can. I may not be 100% perfect, but at least I'll try to make as much effort as I can.
Yeah.
Krishna will be pleased with that, with the effort.
Nice project. Yeah. So anything means, as you told, like, so Krishna himself expands as a guru, because Guru Krishna, we cannot see Krishna, we cannot, get direct, knowledge from Krishna. So Krishna sends the guru, and from the guru we get the knowledge. That means we are getting knowledge from Krishna
Correct.
by a medium of guru.
Via the medium of the guru. Yeah. And that's why it says here, indeed, a bona fide guru is the external manifestation of the super soul.
Right. Yeah, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that verse is there. Guru Rupe Krishna Hane Sastra Parmana.
Yeah.
Guru
See, and
Rupe.
that's why Narottam Das Thakur also, the morning prayers, Samsara Dava prayers, who's the author? I'm forgetting. Narottam Das Thakur? No, or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So when he says Yasya Prasada Bhava Prasad, by the mercy of the Guru, you can get Krishna, because he's the representative.
Right. Same as in the quote you mentioned, like if we do offerings, so via medium of the Guru only, it will go to Krishna. It will reach to Krishna.
That's why our offering first we offer to Guru, then to Prabhupada, and then through the parampara, then they take it to Krishna.
Right.
Otherwise, if we were so good and pure, then we would offer directly to Krishna only. That's it. Just offer directly. Don't worry about via medium. You just offer, Krishna will accept it. So
sometime in the IDC project, disciple course, it is written, there is no shortcut. In the bold letter, no shortcut. Always it will go to the parampara only. So if no parampara,
has to go through.
Yeah.
See, and it's like you said, instead of attitude, we should have gratitude that we have been given this connection. Otherwise, we would not be able to connect to Krishna, to God.
Yeah, that's what Krishna said in this same chapter which we are reading. Like first I given to the Vivaswan, and then it comes through the kings, and through that parampara it came to us. So
yeah.
So nice project. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. All right, Mukta Sangha Prabhu.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wonderful session. Before I let everyone go, I have a couple of announcements. So tomorrow is New York Rath Yatra. We're all getting ready to go there. And day after tomorrow is our Pauganda Pravachan series. This time it will be by Rasapriya, who is just 8 years old. And most of us know Rasapriya is Archana Bhakti Mataji and Rasa Chaitanya Prabhu's daughter. It's a wonderful daughter. And she'll be speaking about the pastimes from Chaitanya Bhagavat. So please join and encourage her. It will be 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and 10 to 11, and 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So the same Zoom credentials, please join. Thank you, Prabhu. That's all I have.
Okay, Prabhu.
Ajit Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madhavi. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.